There is no such thing as a coincidence. And that certainly happened today. No such thing as a coincidence. So I'm filling in San Antonio today and tomorrow. And wouldn't you know it, a very high-profile case goes down where an illegal tries to murder two sheriff's deputies, Bexar County sheriff's deputies in San Antonio. The sheriff, Salazar, in Bexar County, San Antonio, is the one who tried to prosecute Ron DeSantis. Remember that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis when he flew those illegals to Martha's Vineyard? That was the best thing, next to Governor Greg Abbott's amazing move, revolutionary move in the war against the illegal invasion by sending in buses, all those illegals up to Chicago, D.C., New York, etc., in Denver. But Bexar County Sheriff Salazar is a rabidly pro-illegal, Soros-backed sheriff. He does not have 287G, the program where you can work with ICE and get the software in your jail. Every time you book somebody into the jail, whether they get convicted or not is not relevant. And you have trained deputies that put their name and information into the system, and immediately you find out if they're illegal. What that means is whether they are convicted or not, the moment they're released from jail, they go immediately into ICE custody. He did not do that. But here's what happened. An illegal tried to murder two deputies on a domestic dispute, an insanely violent illegal with insanely lengthy rap sheet. He was deported before. He came back, which is a felony, along with other violent rap sheets he has. And he showed up at his ex's house with a rifle and a handgun and broke in or forced his way into the house. She called 911. And she fled with the kids. When the two sheriff's deputies showed up, he tried to murder them. This illegal. And I'll give you his rap sheet in a minute. It's bad. And the sheriff's deputies were shot. One in his hand, went through his hand and hit the other deputy in the hip. They immediately returned fire and killed that SOB. And today, Sheriff Salazar comes out and says, "Oh, these guys are heroes. I'm so proud of them. They did everything great." Do you understand this? If Sheriff Salazar, this illegal with this lengthy rap sheet, was in his prison in Bexar County Jail just this past spring, if Salazar, the sheriff of Bexar County, would have had 287G, this illegal would never have been free to try to murder his deputies just yesterday. You could have two deputies dead today because of the sheriff of that county's rabidly pro-illegal anti-287G program. It is with that context that I'm going to turn and pivot to Dallas Police Chief Como, who completely flat out rejected 287G. Let's first tell you this guy that could have murdered two deputies that the sheriff is preening about today, saying how awesome they were. Well, he would have blood on his hands. He does have blood on his hands. He should thank God that his deputies aren't dead because of his policies. 38-year-old Jose Arlen Fernandez Solano, a Costa Rican illegal. Extensive criminal history. He said, the sheriff says in San Antonio, says, Fernandez Solano has been deported at least once, had multiple prior arrests for domestic violence-related offenses, including assault, causing bodily injury to a family member and injury to a child. So he's beating a woman, beating children. Felony assault, domestic violence. Investigators say there have been at least 22 calls for service tied to the same residence since early 2024. The suspect has 2 active felony warrants connected to a domestic violence case from October. So, because you have a pro-illegal sheriff in Bexar County, San Antonio, this guy never was handed off to ICE. He never would have been in this country, and no illegals are coming across the border and getting away or being released. So 2 deputies in San Antonio almost were murdered because of the pro-illegal policies of that sheriff down there. Now let's pivot again to Dallas Police Chief Como, who rejected outright, who the city manager of Dallas said, this guy is awesome, he's right to reject 287G. The point being here is an illegal could do the same thing here, and there are illegals. Look, Dallas County has 2.5 million people. San Antonio, the entire metropolitan area, has about 2.5 million people. So what that means is Bexar County and the city of San Antonio are nowhere near the population of the city of Dallas. And so how many illegals that are violent with rap sheets that have been deported are in our city of Dallas? And the chief refuses to do 287G to get them out of here. What that means is you could have another illegal try to murder cops or murder one of us that could have been free. That could have been ended. We could have been spared had this the Dallas police chief had 287G. Now, that's what you had to know. It says real consequences. And that sick, preening SOB down in Salazar, Sheriff Salazar in Bexar County, was saying how proud he is of his deputies. Blood's on your hands, and you better thank God they're not dead because of your policies. Now, thank God this, too. Governor Greg Abbott and the Texas Republican legislature, the House and the Senate passed, as you know, SB 8. SB 8 comes effective January 1st. And what SB 8 does is it forces every sheriff in every county in Texas that has 100,000 people or more. What that means is Bexar County, that means Dallas County. Every freaking sheriff that has 100,000 or more now has to have 287G, or they will be prosecuted in violating Texas Penal Code. So Daniel Cuomo, come a week or so, will be forced to have 287G. And he can, I don't want to say he can kiss my rump. How's that? He can kiss my rump. Because against his wishes, people will not die, get raped, get murdered, get jacked, have their cars stolen, be beaten, be maimed permanently, be crippled, be killed on a highway because of a drunken driving illegal. No longer. It'll be against Cuomo's wishes. It'll undoubtedly be against the Dallas County Sheriff's wishes. It'll also undoubtedly be against the wishes of Bexar County Sheriff's deputy, and of course Travis County. Of course, I'm sure Harris County for Houston as well. Now, and we know that Tarrant County has 287G because they have a great sheriff who I've interviewed multiple times over the years, Sheriff Bill Wayburn. And thank God for him and the people of Tarrant County and keeping it red. Okay, so that's huge. Here's another story I wanted to share with you. By the way, Merry Christmas. We're here we are on Christmas Eve's Eve. This is a great lengthy piece. I highlighted a handful of little things here that are so important, though. This is great. Orange man bad. He's deporting illegals who are not violent. Dallas Morning News today. Single father of 6 U.S. citizen children. He's got 6 U.S. citizen anchor baby children. Sought a special visa, but ICE still deported him. What you don't know until you read halfway through, 3-4 pages in, 5 pages in, is that this guy had multiple offenses, including crimes that he committed, including going through this country and getting deported and coming back, which is a felony. But they play this violin. He just was taking his daughter to school in Oklahoma. He's got 6 children that are citizens, and they deported him. This is not what Trump said he would do. Yes, it is. An unprecedented an unprecedented invasion of illegals begets an unprecedented deportation. Thank you, President Trump, for deporting. What is the first number that just came out? Is it 2.6 million illegals? I think 1.6 million, something like that. 1.6 million self-deported, and I think 600,000 have been deported so far at least. I guess if we do that math, it's like 2 million. I don't know. It's good. And I read today, if he does this, if he keeps it up, he's not going to hit the mark of how many illegals invaded. Yes, he will. If it's 2 to 2.5 million, he's going to have almost every illegal that invaded during this country be removed over 4 years. And I don't care if they have a crime or not. They need to get out of here unless you want to endorse every single Democrat that becomes president from this point forward. Do the same thing Joe Biden did. We'll flood us with 10 to 20 million illegals. Every Democrat president, 10 to 20 million illegals will be flooded and flooded. It'll remake our entire congressional districts and our congressional representation across this country and destroy this nation by just simply continuing the invasion. Everyone must go, including ones who were already here, because of Joe Biden. Blame him, nobody else. This is what we voted for. Now, so they play the violin in this lengthy piece in the Dallas Morning News today. Sole caretaker of his children. All of them are U.S. citizens under 16. He was deported last month to Mexico after living here for more than 34 years. Again, they're playing the violin. This is so horrible. How dare they? We can't. Oh, my gosh, you're doing this. Oh, my gosh. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Here's what I will say. Well, the first thing I'll say is this.
Stop whining.
Next, I'll tell you this. Why is this a problem? Why is deporting this guy a problem? Why is this bad? He's an illegal. Let me continue on. He applied for a visa under the Violence Against Women Act a couple years back. It's available for men and women, but I read on, he doesn't have any violence. His wife, he divorced her after 11 years because she was an addict. That's not violence. So this guy was clawing at straws. But it gets worse. In 2023, he got issued a work permit, and then the agency, USCIS, the university, USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services gave him a permit in 2023, a work permit, and they reaffirmed it in 2024 and again in April. Well, of course they did, because that was Joseph R. Biden Jr. That's why they approved it. It was a stamp for every illegal. The attorney for this illegal says his deportation shows the administration is attempting to deport as many people as possible. You got it. They're just going to go after anybody and everybody is what I see, no matter if they have applications pending or not, said his attorney. Yes, you damn right. His children stayed in the country for an additional 2 months, but they rejoined their dad in Matamoros, Mexico in early December. Now you're reunited. That's exactly what happens. I don't care if you're a citizen or not. If your dad leaves and he's your caretaker, then you're going to go to Mexico. You're going to figure it out. You can go back and forth as much as you want. You're citizens. Continuing on. This is great. DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin calls BS in all this. She says, first of all, pending applications like he had don't confer status. He was showing up for a hearing for his application status. It doesn't confer legal status. Number two, he was deported, this illegal, father of six, was deported in 2020. No, sorry, in 2000, 25 years ago. He was deported in 2000, but crossed back illegally, a felony. And ICE reinstated his final order of removal. In other words, as McLaughlin says, he had his due process. It's done. His complete due process was done. He was arrested, and this is the other thing. This is literally like on the second to the last page of this, five-page article. They bury it. He presented his card at the port of entry, trying to get back in, and was arrested for fraud at entry. He was deported to Mexico that same day, so he tried to commit fraud upon our government. Plus, he came back in as an illegal, who had already been deported. His 2000 arrest for fraud was his only criminal arrest. That's more than enough for me. Get out, ain't never coming back. He crossed illegally back into the U.S. a few months later. That's the felony. After his wife suffered from substance abuse, he says he divorced her. So there's your story. No, there's no controversy here. You committed fraud upon us, and you were deported and came back in. That's a felony, and I'm sure the fraud is a felony too. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you in the proverbial arse. 60 Minutes, the 60 Minutes scandal. It is way worse than I've been talking about. Way worse. 3 articles came out this afternoon, one from Axios, one from the Daily Mail, and one from the Wall Street Journal. It's damning on this Trump-hating, Republican-hating 60 Minutes correspondent, Sharon Alfonsi. First of all, as you know, the order to cancel or to stop the report on 60 Minutes Sunday came out on time to stop it, but the CBS Canada aired it, or 60 Minutes Canada did air it, so it was out and everybody's gotten it. It's leaked. Let me play you the audio, 2 pieces of audio from this, if I can find it. I have so much audio. Where did it go? Well, it's buried here somewhere. Anyways, what happens is she talks about how they were tortured, they were abused, etc. And it was horrifying. The guy feared for his life. People were puking on each other. They were vomiting. They were urinating on each other. Because they were so frightened, people were put in solitary confinement, which is all, it's all concrete and everything. Here's the problem. This reporter, Sharon Alfonsi, first of all, she's rigged other reports. She rigged a report where DeSantis, during COVID, prioritized elderly people. Publix, their locations in Florida were the most prevalent throughout Florida and also were the most closest to the population centers where they needed to get people vaccinated. That's why he picked them. She alleged falsely that because of a $100,000 donation to DeSantis' campaign, that's why he picked Publix. She also said that he prioritized white men over people of color, black people, Hispanic people. That also was a lie. This lie, but she ran with the report anyway. She went and asked DeSantis at a press conference about this to try to hold his feet to the fire. As part of the report, he explained why she was wrong. She cut that out and didn't air it in the episode. It was all about destroying DeSantis. She rigged it. That was in 2021. Number two, she did that report on, do you remember this? We played it. I'll play a little bit for you. In Germany, where they're literally arresting people and doing raids. They're kicking down doors. If you have a meme that is hate determined by the government of Germany, or if you have misinformation, or even if you retweet a meme or some information and it's false, you can be arrested. You're arrested. There's no difference. Here she is, and she interviewed this whole story. This was the most outrageous, disgusting thing, and she was literally nodding along the whole time, not saying, "You're putting people in jail for a meme." She was going the whole time. She's like, oh. She never challenged him on it. She seemingly agreed with the whole thing because, of course, they're going after people that don't vote and think the way we do.
That's clear. Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher
Yeah.
if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
That sticks around forever.
Yeah.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
The punishment for breaking hate speech laws can include jail time for repeat offenders. But in most cases, a judge levies a stiff fine and sometimes keeps their devices.
She then joins him on a raid. Here's a little bit of that.
How do people react when you take their phones from them?
they are shocked.
We're Nazis now.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning, and we were with state police as they raided this apartment in Northwest Germany.
So the whole report goes on and on and on. That's what they spend their time doing, having strike teams arresting people for memes and taking away their computers, their laptops, their iPads, their phones, because they tweet something out. They tweet a mean tweet out. So that's who this woman is. Now comes the Wall Street Journal, Axios, and the Daily Mail to just have damning stuff about this whole thing with her. She did, Sharon Alfonsi, the reporter with 60 Minutes, who's done this rigging of stuff against Republicans and conservatives, etc., Trump supporters and Trump. She did, after she got all this damning report, supposedly. By the way, she interviews the Human Rights Commission, which is the rabidly leftist, for their to denounce this. She interviews the UC Berkeley Department of whatever that does. They can analyze the pictures from CECOT and the video and see if they're doing things that are acceptable to humanitarianists, I guess, or whatever, the UN. So they're all leftists. She did reach out to the Trump administration to get their take and get their information, their response to this. She didn't put any of it into the report. Nothing. And her defense in this, the Sharon Alfonsi, her defense is, well, we took prior statements. These allegations are, by the way, 2 months old. The New York Times already reported this, and that's Barry Weiss's point in all this, the CBS News editor, executive editor. She says this same story with everything you have in here was already reported by the New York Times 2 months ago. What are you putting in here that's new? And so she says you need to have the Trump administration officials, and she gave her Tom Holman's phone number. She gave her Stephen Miller's phone number. He's the architect of all this. She gave him Kristi Noem's number, but she never called them actually, if she did, as I said, she did reach out to them. She got some comments, but she didn't put those in. She went to old stuff from when this came out in the New York Times 2 months ago in their responses. That's what she did, because she doesn't want the Trump administration, just like with Ron DeSantis, rigging, cutting stuff out, or not even putting in the report. She doesn't want the Trump administration to explain why she's wrong. And maybe they can't explain why she's wrong, but she won't even let them have their side. That's why she has no business being a 60 Minutes reporter, and it's ridiculous and comical that she says, we're the gold standard, and she's complaining. She attacked her boss publicly by sending out an email attacking her, to 5 colleagues or 4 colleagues, which then was leaked everywhere, and that's why she did it. And then publicly she is attacking her boss, which is unbelievable. She should be fired. Let me read these details. This from Axios today. The segment included... of her report included previous comments made by Trump, and it also includes a clip of White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, saying these are criminals, violent, and everything. But those had nothing to do with this specific report. They were not allowed to defend themselves, or if they did talk to him, she didn't report. She didn't put it in the report because she wants to rig it. Axios also says, according to a source familiar with 60 Minutes, correspondents with the administration 60 Minutes team reached out to press officials at the White House, State Department, and DHS, all of which provided comments to CBS News. None of these comments, Axios reports, which varied in length and substance, were included in the piece viewed by Axios. She rigged it again. That's all she does. Here's from the Daily Mail on this with their insider information. They talk about Barry Weiss at this meeting, the editorial meeting they had Monday morning about this whole thing, and she talked about respecting each other. Said, now this is the reporter Alfonsi quoting what happened in the meeting and quoting her boss, Barry Weiss, quote, Alfonsi says, she talked about respecting each other. I have no respect for anybody who buries the truth because of politics. She's literally alleging her boss, Barry Weiss, executive editor of CBS News, is burying the truth because of politics. And she's a reporter? She's not a reporter. She is an opinion commentator and an agenda woman. No business being in the news department. By the way, she says that her boss, Barry Weiss, buries the truth because of politics. What is the truth? Is the truth your super partisan leftist thoughts? Yes, it is. By the way, when somebody says my truth, that's a massive red flag, leftist alert. And what that means is there is no truth with them. It's all relative. It's moral relativism. My truth. My truth is, there is no my truth. There is the truth. One truth. Another CBS insider who was sympathetic to Barry Weiss accused 60 Minutes, so there is people inside in CBS are on her side, accused 60 Minutes correspondent Cheryl Fonsi of fumbling the El Salvador prison story and then grandstanding after it was spiked. Absolutely. The simple fix, this CBS insider says, is to go to the White House briefing, ask a question, or have another CBS reporter ask a question. That's investigative journalism 101. She's not a journalist. She's an activist. The CBS insider, critical of Alfonsi, said the email that Alfonsi wrote, was written to be leaked, which suggests Alfonsi wants to go out like former CBS 60 Minutes producer Bill Owens, like a martyr. Bill Owens resigned in April, and then after Owens resigned, 60 Minutes high-profile reporter Scott Pelley praised Owens live on the air and rebuked his own corporate overlords, owners, on CBS News 60 Minutes air. These are little brat ingrates who are agenda people. They're not reporters, and they need to be removed, period. Also, Weiss said, I held the story, the 60 Minutes piece. I held that story because it wasn't ready. The story has already been reported on places by the New York Times. The public knows that Venezuelans have supposedly been subject to horrific treatment in this prison, so to run the story on this subject 2 months later, we simply need to do more. Otherwise, it's just reporting what's been reported 2 months ago. The 60 Minutes editor who was present in that meeting that supports Barry Weiss told Daily Mail that Weiss's reasoning was, the 60 Minutes editor who was present told the Daily Mail that, quote, Weiss's reasoning was bull S. So this is one of the Barry Weiss people in the meeting. Weiss's reasoning was bull s, full word. She knows it. We know it. Everybody with a brain knows it. She is protecting conservatives. There you go. Everybody's attacking her. Then she needs to fire them. One last thing from the Wall Street Journal today. This is absolutely critical and damning to Alfonsi. CBS News, the Journal writes this afternoon, had sought and received responses from the Department of Homeland Security, the White House, and State Department, according to people familiar with the matter. The segment, which was available to some viewers in Canada and seen by the Journal, did not include the fresh comments those agencies provided. There you go. Oh, and lastly, Alfonsi said, if the standard for airing a story becomes the government must agree to be interviewed, then the government effectively gains control over the 60 Minutes broadcast. We go from an investigative powerhouse to a stenographer for the state. That's a lie. She did get their interview. She chose to be the editor-in-chief, cutting out the other side of the story, which is not news, period. It's propaganda. She is a propagandist. That's the best term to call her. She is a propagandist. Now let's go to the mugger mover in Dallas, Dart. This is a family. I told you about this story yesterday. A man with his kids was getting on the mugger mover, the jail rail, Dart, at their 8th and Corinth station when there were two young men, one thug and his brother. And the young thug and his brother were walking past this father with his children. And the brother walked past the father with his children and they said, "Excuse me." The father replied, saying, "Excuse you." And now he's dead. This is sad. I'm not going to attack the family or this guy, but he was an idiot, and that's why he's dead. It doesn't excuse the murder. It's just you're an idiot if you're picking a fight with somebody. You don't know what's going on. Second of all, remember I told you about this yesterday. It happened. We talked about it on the podcast earlier on, a couple weeks ago or last month, when a woman held the door for a young woman who's a thugette. She held the door for the thugette, and the thugette didn't say thank you. So the woman said, "You're welcome." Guess what happened? In the parking lot shortly thereafter, the thugette shot and killed the woman in front of her daughter. Because instead of just holding the door and not being mad inside, saying, "You should say you're welcome, you bleep," she said, "You're welcome." If you're going to hold the door for somebody in public, not knowing if they're going to say thank you or not, you don't correct them. You don't do it because you're going to get a thank you. That's not doing it for the right reasons. The right reasons is just to do it. And yes, I do that, and people don't say thank you half the time. But you know what I do? In my head, I go, "You're a fool. You're an idiot." Whatever. I don't know, but I don't say anything because I have some decency. And I'm mature enough to realize it's not, what am I going to do? I'm going to scold people? Am I going around doing things for people so that I can scold them if they don't say you're welcome or thank you? No. You're literally defeating the purpose of doing something nice for somebody. When you do something nice for somebody, you do it and you don't expect anything back in return. So this guy picked a fight with these two by saying, "Excuse you," and then they both, the thug and him, at the Dart station, took a fighting stance. And that's when the 18-year-old thug pulled out a gun and shot and killed the man in front of his kids. I'm not here to kick the man while he's been killed. I'm not here after he's been killed. I'm not here to attack his family, but I'm here to say his family has been interviewed by Fox 4 today, and here's what they say. Dart shooting victim's family questions why, "Excuse me," exchange turned deadly. It turned deadly for the same reason I've talked about stories here in the Metroplex where a guy's driving with his wife and she's told him not to flip people off, not to honk, not to do road rage, and he does it while she's in the car after she's been telling him for like a year or two to stop it, he's going to get hurt. He flips somebody off, his wife gets shot and killed right there in the car while they're driving on the highway. That's the same reason why. You don't mess with people because you don't know who they are. It's not being afraid, it's being wise. Is it worth dying for? People are dead. Was that worth it? No. His family says they want to know why the exchange ended in such violence. According to the arrest warrant, the thug brother told detectives that he and his brother walked past this man, and they said, "Excuse me." He said, "Excuse you." The suspect brother took out offense to the comment. Assumed fighting stance. He shot and killed him with a Glock 44. The family wants to know why that simple exchange escalated into a deadly shooting. Because your loved one, I'm not trying to be mean here, because your loved one was a fool and verbally criticized this kid, and then took a fighting stance. He got killed because he was acting like a fool. And so they're like saying, well, I don't know why did he get killed? He wasn't even trying to get with you. He was trying to talk to the other dude. It's two of y'all and one of him, and he ain't got no gun. You're trying to reason with somebody who's a thug. You don't reason with thugs. Your requests or your concerns are not valid because your loved one, this dear man, was acted a fool with a thug. Not excusing it, but that's what happened. His mother says, my baby's gone, and that's where I say, yeah, it's horrible. If you could ask him, was it worth it? Of course, his answer would be, no, my kids don't have a dad now. My mom has lost her son because I was a fool. He recently turned his life around to faith, Mom said. He called me. He was excited. Mom, I'm getting baptized. The family must now spend the holiday making plans to lay him to rest. Now, about the baptism part, I think that's beautiful. And I know that you and I make mistakes all the time. Doesn't matter how much of an authentic Christian you are. We're going to be doing stupid things that could get us killed or hurt somebody else. It just happens because you're being a fool. Me too. I do stupid things too. We all do. But let this be a lesson to you and me. I've already gone over the being a fool and stuff, but how about this? You never know when God's going to take you. If you don't know that you're going to heaven or why you would go to heaven, if your response isn't because I received the free gift of Jesus Christ as my Savior and Lord, who died and rose 3 days later for my sins, and the Bible's the inerrant, infallible Word of God. Really, you don't have to have that second one, but I put that in there. If you have that, if you do that, and God takes your life shortly thereafter, a second after, you're going to heaven. And so he finished right with God, and I think that's beautiful. That's a nice end to that. Burleson HEB shoppers. They were in line, and one lady said she was in line for like an hour, 2 hours, while they were trying to fix the registers. They didn't get them fixed. They didn't do anything. You're sitting with all these groceries in your cart. And so HEB says, you know what, we're done. Everybody, whatever you got in your cart right now, it's free. Go. Some of these people, including a woman from Crowley, posted on Facebook. One woman said it brought tears to my eyes, and we all gave them a round of applause. A woman from Crowley posted on Facebook that her father was in line when the system went down. What he experienced was amazing. She said, absolutely. That's why HEB, I already am a huge fan of HEBs from when my wife and I lived in Austin in the late 90s and loved HEB. The one thing I was going to say, if that happened to me and I was there, the first thing I would do is go fill up the rest of my cart. Okay, maybe not. But I would hope I had tons of meat in there. And then I guess the next tactic could be maybe you hack the register, the system, and then be in line waiting, and then you'll get free groceries. All right. Hey, tomorrow morning I'll be on 107 stations, filling in for my friend for Premier Radio Networks, their morning show from 5 to 8 a.m. Central. And then I'll be on San Antonio again from 10 to 11 a.m. and then 3 to 5 p.m. on KTSA. Those are all Central times. If you want to listen live, you just go to my social media feeds, and you'll see exactly what stations you can listen live. I will see you tomorrow.